time I close my eyes, I see the night again. In all the dreams I have, I hear the sound of angels cry. Take me back, I need to find those distant memories. Hold on close, slowly, my power through it all. In all my life, I've been searching for a better world, but time has let me down. Here we stand on this broken land, raise my head up high, I can see the sun. We are the children, with fire in the sky, and we are the future. Our souls in the night will never die. Feel the change, it seems it's like the same old day to me. Nothing here I have to live before they capture me. In all my life I've been searching for a better world, but time has let me down. Here we stand on this broken land, raise my head up high, I can see the sun. We are the children, with fire in the sky. We are the future. Our souls in the night will never die.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday night. Did you miss us? Because we're back.
We're back.
I am, of course, Dixie Dave, along with my co-host, the five-time world champion, Crusher Crossen.
And it's great to be back in a brand new year. And Dave, it's a special year for the NWF when it comes to the
Yes,
league.
it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, I hope
hmm
everybody had a good Christmas, a happy New Year.
Oh, yeah. Now, holidays are always a hectic time for not just me and Dave, but everybody. And it's a good time to, get with your families and spend time and all of that. But it's also hectic at the same time and busy for me and Dave, particularly with our jobs. And I'm glad to have gotten through another year, to be honest with you.
Exactly. You get to our age and you just are happy to make it through the year.
Yep. But yeah, like Dave said though, hope everybody had a good holiday. Um, but we've been off for quite a while, Dave. We did one show in November and we did one in December. So it seems like a
Well, we were,
real. Well, go ahead.
we were trying to respect everybody's time with their family.
Right, we were.
You know,
But for us, we used to go every week, then we would go every other week, and now we kind of went every month there. And so to make up for that, Dave and I will be with you every week for the next 4 weeks.
well, it part of that is due to the special time of year, the special season it is for us.
That's right. It is a special time. It's today's show, of course, is the NWF's Hall of Fame preview part one. It's actually going to be 4 parts to this, and this is the first part, our show today. Um, and for those, so what we're going to do, we're going to basically give you a preview of every nominee that's going to be in this
Exactly.
Hall of Fame, so you can kind of have a little background on them. And
Yep.
Dave and I will share our insights on the people that, if Dave's familiar with them, and of course I'm familiar with everyone, so I'll give you my 2 cents for what it's worth.
And the reason that we're doing it this year and we haven't done it last year's podcast
Yep.
season is this year is the 40th anniversary of Crusher Crossen going insane and starting the National Wrestling Federation.
And let's not cut Charlie Lane short. I know he's
Exactly,
watching.
exactly.
He,
Sorry,
he
Charlie.
he was a part of that beginning. It was me and him, and yeah, if we didn't come together and decide to do this, it would have never happened. Not that it's a huge deal, but for us, it's a big deal, right? It means a lot to Dave and myself and everybody involved in the league. So it's really cool, to be able to look
Well,
back now.
I mean, how many people as a teenager get to live out their dream?
Exactly. And that's what it was. It's a celebration. So 40 years, we're just celebrating 40 years ago of some really fun times that I wish, and I know everybody watching, the kid inside them, if they're adults, I'm talking to you. I wish you could have been there with us because
Exactly.
it was a real fun time.
It was a blast being a part
Yeah.
of the NWF. I mean, you know, Crusher and I we've kept in contact on and off over the years, and once I moved back here to the area that the NWF was started in, Sean and I got talking about the NWF, and I threw out the idea of this crazy podcast.
Yep. It certainly
And
was.
you know, I just threw it out telling him, hey, you should do a podcast explaining our story. And he basically told me, if I'm going to do it, you're doing it with me.
That's kind of how that went. Dave, let me get up. We got some comments rolling in. I just want to get everybody in here. That's King Coop in the house. Great to see you, King. Can't wait for this live stream. I know it's going to be good. Yeah, you bet. We're
Hi,
looking forward to
Angie.
it. Yeah, we got Angie in the house. Hello, Angie. Welcome to watching the show. I know Dave's excited you're here. And then King Coop says to welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the new year. We sure did. We've got Mr.
Facebook
Steve.
user.
That's actually Steve Angstrom. I checked already. Well, he even says so. This is Pretty Boy Taylor, a.k.a. Steve Angstrom, a.k.a. Mr. X. And Pretty Boy Taylor's on the ballot, Dave. He's in there as one of the nominees, as well as Mr. X and Mr. X2 in the tag team category. So, yep. So we'll see how that goes for the voting. Oh, by the way, so the way this is going to work, so everybody knows, you know what the official NWF month is, right, Dave? It's March, because March
Right.
was the actual formation of the league. So we decided that it will be March 1st is when the voting will actually start.
Okay.
We'll do it all through our website. There'll be links for you to go to and vote. And I encourage everybody to vote. I hope you all vote. Those of you watching and everybody else, and all the hundreds upon hundreds that watch our replays. I really hope they come and vote because it means a lot. It helps us. We want to have as many of you voting as possible. And that's why we're doing these shows special, because we want you to have an idea who you would want to vote for.
And you see, here's the things to everybody that's watching. I have no say-so on who's going into the Hall of Fame. Crusher has no say-so on who goes into the Hall of Fame. It's you, our viewers, who decides who goes in the Hall of Fame.
Every Hall of Fame has been done that way. I'm big on that. I don't want to have any say in that.
No knock on other companies, but we don't just sit there and go, oh, well, we like this guy this month. Let's nominate him to the Hall of Fame.
And in honor of this, I am wearing the 2014 Hall of Fame shirt. This was the first one we did. And these were the people that were inducted. In the first year, we had 4 guys, 4 singles wrestlers that went in, and a tag team. As you can see, the Super Ds were voted in, along with Campa, Killer Campa, Ace Andrew Carlson, Kid Kelsey, and myself. That was the first year. And then we did a total of 3 years. But then we stopped because I thought, wait a minute. That was the 30th anniversary when we started the first one. And we sit going every year. And I thought, we had 4 years of the league. Let's do 4 Hall of Fames, but I'm going to save the last one for the 40th. So we've been waiting 10 years.
It's a good thing I came up with this crazy idea, Crusher.
Yep. 10 long years that we've been waiting to finally do this final Hall of Fame. So that's what we're going to do. There's a total of 22 nominees in the singles category. I think there's about 13 tag teams. And then there's about 5 to 6 announcers and maybe 4 to 5 managers that will be on the ballot for this. That's the categories we have. We have singles, tag team, manager, and announcer. We added managers and announcers in I think the second year. So, yeah. So that'll be fun. Looking forward to that. And I think it's going to be cool for the viewers, Dave, to get a really kind of a close-up look at each nominee.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's a good thing I came up with this crazy idea for a podcast.
Well, yeah, because we never did it live before or anything. And my whole plan is we'll have one of our podcast shows. We'll have we'll announce the winners and everything. It'll be fun. And as an added attraction to help everybody, encourage them to vote, and because I just like giving things away, we're going to do some giveaways in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, when you vote, you'll vote with your email address. So we have an email address for you, and we're going to collect all that, and then I'm going to do it live on the show. We're going to then put it into a randomizer. We'll randomize it out, and then we'll have a top 10 or top 20 list, and of which those people are going to get gifts, starting with the NWF World Title. We're going to give that away. We're going to give the NWF National Title away. We're going to give, I'm even thinking, Dave, of throwing in the NWA World Title belt that I happen to have an extra one of.
Ooh.
So I may even throw that in the mix. That classic dome globe.
Yep.
And then we're going to give away some DVDs. We're going to give away some books and some brand new NWF Rewind t-shirts that are in development as we speak.
And you see, here's the thing.
That would be fun.
Here's the thing, fans. Here's the thing. Crusher's going to give one of you guys one of the new shirts. I got to buy my shirt.
As do I. But I have to buy everybody's shirt, not just...
Yep.
Yeah. But, and Dave takes the largest shirt we got. I do too, pretty much. So we need the big ones. So...
Well, big boy. We were heavyweights. We're big boys,
Yeah. Well, Dave, I'm going to, we got a lot of guys to get through. We got 11 guys to get through. So I think we should start it up and get rolling with this. Let me make sure I don't have any. Just want to make sure. Okay, I think we're ready. So I'm going to get rid of the banner here. I was supposed to put this up when I was talking about it, but a chance to win free NWF giveaways just for voting, books, DVDs, t-shirts, championship belts, and more. So there you go.
And you know what my favorite DVD is that we have?
What's that?
I said, you know what my favorite DVD that we have is?
We always know that one. Everybody knows that one. That'd have to be the October 18th sellout.
Hey, it was a special day for me.
Well, let's get started here, Dave. The first nominee on our list was going to be Bulldog the Butcher. Troy Otto came into the league in 1985, was around through 1987. Thing about him, Dave knows this, he was cousin of the Barbarians.
Yep.
Tim Holland, Jerry Wellman, the Barbarians, Fandar and Conan.
Yep.
Butcher was a former 6-man tag team champion as well. So that's kind of his situation. Now let's take a look. We'll look at some highlights of Butcher. Now, if I have interview segments, I throw those in. If I don't have interview segments, sometimes we're just going to see a part of or all of a match, depending on how long it goes.
Okay.
So let's take a look at Butcher.
We have Bulldog Butcher, or Butcher Bulldog, whichever you prefer, you have a match next with Jumpin' Johnson. How do you feel about that match?
Well, he always thinks he's such a hot rod. He'll find out what I'm made of when I get in there.
May I ask what you are made of? What are you made of? Chains?
Muscle, that's what it is, muscle. He may pin me, but I will get my revenge. I said last week, after I got thrown out, that I will get at him, and I will.
Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with our
It's a little interview with Butcher. You know, Bulldog, when he first came in, Dave, was pretty rough, pretty green. You'll see it here in the early match here. But I think I throw in some highlights with him later on where you can see how he developed a little bit more.
And one of the few wrestlers actually freak you out.
Yeah, Butcher. He came in with that crew cut and we said, right away, I said, you're going to be a Russian. You've got the look. And Bulldog the Butcher was recruited in from Steve Engstrom. He was living in the same apartment complex as Steve. That's how Troy got on the show. Steve brought him. Yep. So, you know, a lot of people say, well, Steve was in it for himself or for the adults, but you know, Steve brought in the Butcher, the Barbarians, he brought in other kids. You know, so remember that. He was looking at growing the show just like the rest of us in the early days.
Oh, a shoulder block from Jumpin' Johnson. A kick. Few more kicks.
And Brian Balaban was the interviewer with Butcher in that segment, Dave. He'll be on the ballot for announcers.
Yeah, okay.
He's one of them. Yeah. Brian was good. A lot like Mike Tenay. That's him commentating on that match as well. So now we're in 1986, which has been around a little bit longer now. In there with Jason Classen, Corporal Classen.
In the dungeon.
In the dungeon, the infamous Fred Moore Junior High boxing ring.
Looks like one part of a scorpion move.
Oh, I'm sorry. That ring brings back nightmares.
Yeah, it was not a picnic in that ring, that's for sure.
No.
It was a ring, but it was a boxing ring. It had no give whatsoever.
The bounce that everybody says the ring has, that ring had none of it.
Nope, it did not exist. So here we are again, more Butcher, a little more developed now.
And now, back to the show.
You know, he was kind of a brawler, right? That was his gimmick. So not scientific. You know, just kind of a big Russian brute, kind of.
Maybe a few good moves. See, there's a kick, and there's a hit.
You know, and that was his style. And
that's his favorite.
Butcher the Bulldog, Butcher Bulldog, however you want to call it.
Scientific move. Wait, that's a.
You know, Butcher would eventually go to the commentating booth and do color commentating.
Certainly do not live up to their name.
He did that for the latter half of '86. Here he's in the ring with Mr.
As
Macho.
I said,
I wonder if the
Bulldog, after his injury, went into commentating.
Yeah, and it was all a staged injury. He wanted to get out of the ring and do the color commentary. He was more who wanted to do that more at the time.
But now outside the ring they're going at
Yeah, just a brawler, you know. And you need those kind of guys. You know, you can't have everybody be scientific.
Exactly.
So Bulldog the Butcher, our first nominee, Dave, in the Hall of Fame.
Nice guy. Nice guy, was always fun to be around.
Yeah, not a mean bone in his body, really. He
kind of a prankster.
Yeah. Not, you know, he was definitely more timid than his cousins. In the ring, yeah. He wasn't. He might have looked rough and, you know, throwing those haymakers, but he was really easy to work with in the ring. No question about that. So let's move on to our next inductee then. Like I said, we're going to go over 11 of them today. That was the first one. And if you guys have any comments, by the way, as we go along, feel free to comment in. Like, for instance, we got King Coop here. Bulldog Butcher looked like he improved over that 1 year from 85 to 86. Yeah, he did. You know, when kids first came on the show, they don't know. They just don't know. and they're cautious. You know, because
Well,
you don't
one
tell them
that
anything.
you know, we weren't told coming in that it was a work.
Yeah, we don't reveal that. We didn't back then.
You know, kayfabe was very much alive when our league was going on.
And my thinking was, I don't know if this kid's going to stick around, and we don't want him to go to school tattletelling. So
Exactly.
that's why we did it that way. You know, for better or for worse, that's the way it was.
And once they stuck around for a couple shows, then they got smartened up.
Yeah. Then we knew there was some trust. All right, let's go to the next nominee. His cousin, Jerry Wellman, Conan the Barbarian.
Yep.
1986, he came in. I believe Tim Holland brought him on. He wanted to have a partner, and his cousin he felt was a good fit. So 1986, 1987, he was a cousin of Thandar and the Butcher. Of course, they're all cousins. And a former World Tag Team Champion. And also already in the Hall of Fame as a tag team with the Barbarians.
Right.
But this is for the singles category. He's a nominee, and let's take a look at Conan.
Coming into the ring first, 1/2 of the World Tag Team
Yoho Municipal.
Champions from Port
Yep.
Sundown, Conan the Barbarian.
And you see that world title from '86, which is up there on the wall, on the other side of the world title.
Yep, probably right up there for me.
Yeah.
The Tokyo Terror. Tokyo Terror.
So yeah, Conan. Kind of hard to tell these two apart. They both have the same red singlets in this match, but Conan, compared to Thandar, Conan was very smooth in the ring. Not taking nothing away from Tim Thandar, but Thandar had a rough edge.
Oh yeah.
Where Jerry was smooth as silk.
Yeah.
And Conan and Tokyo lock up there.
Thandar was not afraid to go stiff on
like a
him.
piece of
Nope.
wet paper, like a wet noodle.
Actually, I think to a certain extent, Thandar would prefer to go stiff.
Yeah, especially if you have a beef in the ring, he's gonna let you know physically.
Yep.
You mess something up or whatever. He was one of those kind of guys.
They calling him Taco Terror. Taco Terror. Tokyo Tutors. Making him sound like a taco shop, I suppose.
It's funny though, Thandar when he first came in was super, super smooth and he wasn't he didn't have that rough edge in the beginning. That came in '86 with him. And he started to get a little more comfortable, I guess you could say. Jerry
Got more comfortable in his own skin, and
I'm gonna say Jerry was about my age, I think. He was 16. So a little bit older, right? Most of the kids were a couple years younger than me. A year or two younger than me, I'd say.
yep.
They're complaining he has a foreign object between his toes, but I find that virtually impossible.
Hey, give him a back body drop.
Shoulder block in the
You
midsection.
can hear me giving some orders. Give him a back body drop.
Oh, he ducked. Kick in the midsection.
He didn't dunk.
Tokyo looks like he's going for the win.
Dinoka Armory.
Yeah.
Bulldog. Dinoka Armory.
Yeah, he was very,
Tokyo Terror
Tokyo was a
versus,
competitor.
Black
He
Panther.
just,
2 count there. And the Tokyo Terror.
but Jerry was. Don't be fooled by the fact that he's smooth. He was a tough customer. He had a lot of strength.
Well, all three of those cousins were.
Yeah.
What's this? Body slam? No, yes, it is a body slam.
It's a butt slam.
You see the Ripley muscles of Conan?
Did you see that?
I saw
Yeah, Jerry was really. Conan was. Tough Tony having a riot there at the commentary table there. That's Tough Tony commentating. One of our lightweight guys.
You mean the giggler?
The giggler, yeah. But Conan was very he really wanted his match to look good. He was really big on he wanted it to be presentable,
Yeah.
put a lot of care into the moves and everything.
What's this? No,
And you can kind of see that in this match,
Oh, very good move that.
Now, people are going to ask, how come certain wrestlers are in as singles when they were in a tag team
Then
and
again, that's a
stuff?
wrestle.
The wrestlers that are in as singles is because they had singles matches,
Yeah.
as we're seeing right now. Some tag teams never had singles matches hardly. And if they didn't have very many singles matches, they're going to be more or less a tag team, like the Super D's. They're not in as singles,
Punches.
Nope.
Trading
as an
punches there in the middle
example.
of the ring.
They were primarily a tag team.
I don't think I ever remember a situation where the D's didn't team.
Oh, in the early days they had some singles matches, but again, it wasn't. It was just here and there, right?
Right.
So it just matters of how much weight it had. Did they have lots of matches? Was it prevalent?
You don't believe me?
Oh,
DDT! He could be knocked out. What's the count? One. DDT.
That's Chad Ronnebaum roughing for us here. We had him on as a guest last year as a guest with us, if you remember.
Tokyo Terror, he's a tough competitor. It's not easy to put him down.
It's nice to see Chad again after all those
I haven't
years.
seen him use this one before.
Oh, yeah.
But Conan's trying to come back from it.
I went against.
He's on his feet.
I went against Tokyo Terror. He's simple to beat.
You might think so, Tough Tony. I haven't had a match with him yet either, but hopefully pretty soon maybe I will. Off the ropes.
You hear Steve Engstrom in the background saying, "Hey, come on, guys, I want to see some holds." Between me and Steve, we're always throwing things out there, We're kind of watching and we're saying, we don't always realize it's getting caught on mic, but we're trying to kind of coach them along and mimic, blend it in with the crowd.
Object from Tokyo Terror, Conan jumping out of the ring in fear that something might happen to him.
Tokyo must have thought he was getting a little rough.
Tokyo whipping the referee into the ropes.
Well, he was
A shoulder block in the midsection. Well, yeah.
he was very athletic. Tokyo was. I mean,
But what's this?
he had no
Could this be a small
problem
package?
doing this, and he enjoyed it.
No, it couldn't be a small package.
Uh,
Oh, a souffle.
as did all of
What's
us.
this,
And it was
pin?
so fun to be a part of the league back then.
2.
Look at Jason interfering. Corporal Classen interfered in the match.
Jason is a.
Oh, we're gonna have to excuse Tough Tony here from the commentating seat. I'm just kidding.
Goodbye.
Yeah, Tough Tony getting way too giggly at the commentating seat, I'd
Is
say.
this another DDT? Souffle.
Dave, I see
Another DDT. This is being the third one.
412 Films here joining us. How's it going? Good to see you. I don't know if you're. It makes me think he's part of that
Well, it doesn't matter.
group with
It doesn't
Gizmo
matter.
in the company.
It
I don't know
doesn't
if
matter.
he is or
Tokyo Terror
not,
still
but
dumb. He doesn't need a brain.
just seems familiar to that.
That theory might hold water. He gets the
King
pin.
Coop says,
Conan
"Looked like it
pinning
was a
him
lot
out
of fun back then." Shit, sure was.
Oh, yeah. Loads of fun back in the NWF.
So Conan the Barbarian.
Really nice guy. Really nice guy. I mean,
Oh yeah, super nice behind the scenes.
I didn't know Conan as well as I knew Thandar, but, dropping the curtain to kayfabe, Thandar and I knew each other way back before the NWF.
I worked a match with Jerry. Right around the time I had my match with Tim, we did a match, and couldn't have been any smoother person to work with in the ring. I mean, he really was. He was just great guy in the show. No doubt about
I mean,
that.
right around the time I was getting my footing coming into the NWF, he was getting ready to head out to go join the military.
Yeah, he went into the Marines. Eventually became a police officer. Yep, went into law enforcement. So yeah, that's Jerry Wellman. Now he's semi-retired, so he's no longer in law enforcement. He's kind of just got like an early retirement, I guess you could say, or took one. And yeah.
Enjoying life if he wants.
Oh, so yeah, Okay, so no, this 412 films, I'm getting mixed up because there's another films. I remember when Gizmo brought some friends. There was another
Yep.
one. This is a different one. So he's not. It's a fan of film production, but yet I'm a big time wrestling fan since I was a kid. So great to see you, 412 Films. Welcome. We're just doing our Hall of Fame preview for 2024, kind of just going over the guys and that are going to be on the ballot. And that's what this show is all about. And our next one that we're going to take a peek at is Corporal Classen. Jason Classen. You know, he's already in the Hall of Fame as an announcer, but this was his first wrestling character. Jason came on as a wrestler in the beginning. And then he quickly got into announcing right as after he joined, but came in.
Well, he has a voice for wrestling.
Yeah.
He has a voice for the commentary.
He does. He was, when we did our announcing category, he won it the first year by a landslide.
Yeah.
Nobody came close. Jason came in 85 and that's actually a mistake. He was in it from 85 to 88. So mistype there. Jason's first NWF alias was Corporal Classen, former national champion. So let's take a look at Corporal Classen, shall we?
With his manager, you'll be facing
There's Brian Balaban again.
Corporal Classen and his manager,
As the announcer.
USA Kelsey. Now down to the ring with. Well, looks like it's gonna be a good match.
You know who Brian Balaban reminded me of, Dave, as a commentator?
Who is that?
Mike Tenay.
Yeah.
His style was just a lot like Mike Tenay. You listen to him commentate, and he's very, very much Mike Tenay-ish. So yeah, we got Corporal Classen and his in that infamous Fred Moore Junior High ring that we just got done seeing a match from. You see now they got a nice canvas on it though. It looks a little better, but it doesn't feel better.
It looks better, but the pain is still there.
Ticket info call, and they have a number. That's because we were pumping the Anoka Armory event. So we were really promoting it big time right now.
The first one, or?
Yeah, this would have been the May 9th one, yep.
Oh, okay.
Because I see the May 9th poster on the back wall there. Kelsey's the manager in this situation. That's why he's in the corner of Classen. So Jason, you know, Corporal Classen, I will say though that this is not Jason's favorite character.
That should be a very good match.
His favorite character was Rattlesnake Jake. That's the one he enjoyed the most. Jason was kind of a military guy though, so he wanted to make a kind of a Sergeant Slaughter character. That's why I did Corporal Classen.
Isn't he also in the manager's category, or did he already win that?
No, managers. We got. I'm just listening to the match. The managers was the Mystery Man and Kid Kelsey are our two managers.
Oh.
Yep. Those are the ones that already been voted in, that is.
Looks like we got a lot of people starting to file into the ring.
This has just gone out of control.
Yeah. I've always been a fan of Brian Balaban. I like his commentating.
Corporal Classen.
Let me tell you, Brian, I am getting sick of these little commie slimes who come in here and call themselves wrestlers. Let me tell you, I'm not going to put up with it anymore. If it keeps up, they're going down. That's all I have to say.
So Corporal Classen, there we go. He would eventually stop his Corporal Classen character, actually at Fred Moore. He only around for about 6 months with that character. And And Rattlesnake Jake, he had to retire out of and have somebody else do it, because the whole story behind all of that was his mom at the time said, once she seen what we were doing on the show, said, I don't want you doing this. You might get hurt here. And Jason just didn't have the heart to tell me that, you know. So I found that out when they were filming the documentary. When they interviewed Jason, that's when I found out all that. So that's interesting. I wouldn't have had a problem with it. Maybe Jason was afraid that we wouldn't want him anymore or something. No, I would have totally kept using Jason. So,
see, for the era that I was in, Jason was the voice of the NWF.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was, you know, he definitely behind the scenes. Like, he helped develop a lot of guys, their characters.
Well, not just that, but on the mic.
Oh yeah, yeah. Which was why he got voted in on the announcing category right away. Really, because he was around for the haymaker years, you know.
Yep.
Oh gosh, I got way behind on comments here. Oh, listen, look at here, Dave. I always like this kind of stuff. Reminds me of my time when my friends and I did wrestling show known as the TNW. So you never, you know, I imagine kids were doing very similar things, right?
Yeah.
They might have not been on cable with it like, you know, we were, but they were still trying to do the same thing. I always encouraged it back in the day. You know,
but nowadays we don't dare encourage it.
No, I don't want to. I don't. But I mean, I do hope to see kids try to do it again, but I don't know if it'll ever happen. Corporal Classen seemed like a pretty interesting character. Yeah, this is, you know, kind of that Sergeant Slaughter. Remember at the time, Slaughter was big time. So, you know, you had Sergeant Smash.
Slaughter was big in the AWA at the time. Right,
and from the WWF. You know, he left the WWF big as well. That's where he started it, really. And then he says Corporal Classen looked like... Again, when Jason does a character, he wants to look the part. So that's why he's got all the camouflage and everything, you know. So, yeah. So let's get to the next one. And the next nominee is none other than yours truly. I guess I should get that comment off the screen. David Dixon, Dixie Dave, holding the national tag team title in that shot right there.
Exactly.
Came in 1986.
And the last defending national tag team champion.
Yep, last defending. Co-host of NWF Rewind, obviously. Former national tag team champ. So I thought, though, for the match that we're going to watch of Dave's, we have to go to the match that you actually...
And from Mudlick, Kentucky,
got the pinfall on. We've seen this before on the show when we watched the show, but here we are again with Dixie Dave and his fairly recent debut. You know, it wasn't your debut, but what, second or third show?
Yep, second or third show.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if that's... Looks like Jason Classen reffing, doesn't it?
No, because Jason was doing the announcing.
I think that is... I don't know. It could be. I'm not sure. So, Dave in the ring. And when Dave came in, what we wanted to do with Dave is we wanted to... We thought... I don't know. He had that straw hat that you... I don't know where that came from, but we're like, we're going to have you be like the Hillbilly Jim style character. We'll put you into that gimmick right away. And...
Mr. D or Mr. Destruction.
And he's going against Mr. Destroyer, a current NWF Hall of Famer.
Looks like he had all his weight behind it.
And former tag team partner of mine, sort of.
And he was Rattlesnake Jake, the guy in the ring, became Rattlesnake Jake when Jason couldn't do it.
Good match here, I suppose. I mean, here in Colorado.
So he took over the character.
Where's your sunglasses, Marty O'Neill?
I put those away.
You hear that's commentators. There is Chad, the late Chad Rancor, Dr. Destruction, along with Steve Engstrom.
He didn't do so well
at
against
ringside.
his first match against Invader too, did he?
No, you seem to be
That's Steve there.
pretty down, yeah.
A little dizzy, we could say. Dizzy Dixie Dave.
Dixie Dave.
Yeah, we gotta give credit to these wrestlers. It's no easy job to do this stuff.
I don't know what I was doing in front of the camera.
110% and
Yep. A 1 column.
We got a big
2 column by Mr. Destroyer.
One match I finally didn't get a screw job done to me.
just don't go.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Hey, there was a few of them that even you commented, hey, that looked like a 3 count.
Coming here, especially from men that can
I would like to say something. Me
Oh, yeah.
and Monobomb would like to challenge Dr. whatever his name is, Destroyer or whatever he is. Destruction, whatever.
Your daughter's watching, Dave. She's
And
proud
Yep.
to see you in here.
So-called champ, I forget his name because he's not important.
And she should
But
be.
we want a rematch with him. Oh, I know who they call him, Crossen the Pickle or something like that.
You know, the Hall of Fame, too, isn't about tech. We're showing you just to have a little background of the guys, but I think of the Hall of Fame as who was committed to the league? Who gave us everything they could give us?
Would do him good, do his heart good to lose
Right?
a couple pounds.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
Who had it in their heart to really want to be a part and contribute? It's not about the technical side of things or how polished you are or how crisp the moves are. It's about how committed you were to the league.
Yep.
You know?
Let me tell you something.
That's the best way I could put it.
Race Dragon shouting his mouth off here.
And how many late night conversations discussing shows did we have?
Oh, yeah. And I had that 3-way calling back in the day, and I'd have, and other people had it. We'd have a party of people on the phone after a couple
Oh
of
yeah,
days.
you were one of the rich ones in the crew.
himself.
Well, yeah, back then in those days, I guess it was a luxury to have 3-way calling, huh?
Yep.
Bringing it back up to action in the ring is
Yeah.
Dixie Dave. All
That
the
was an
way to
extra cost to your
Newfoundland
phone
out
bill
here.
back then.
Yep.
Oh, we have an interview here.
Thank you, Angie, for your.
Crusher, you ain't the best in your wet dreams.
That's Roundabout. Starting to go down the heel side. It was, but it would have been interesting to see Rock and Roundabout as a heel.
Everybody seems to be getting their 2 cents worth.
Oh, yeah.
Penny don't go that far these days. As you can tell, we're wrestling on the out.
Oh yeah, 3-way calling
Great
did
open doors
exist,
here in
King
Anoka,
Coop.
Minnesota.
King Coop says 3-way calling exists back then?
And,
Yeah.
we're out here at
Yeah, it was
Yoho,
done through the
Michigan.
landlines, but yeah, it was a feature.
And for all you
I used to
people
fool
wondering
some of the
where
kids.
Yoho
I remember
is, it is
I'd be on the
nothing
phone
but
with
no
a friend of
sandbars
somebody,
in
and
here.
then I'd have them call,
Just
and
us
I'd have them
wrestlers
talk
doing the
about me
play-by-play
while
of
I'm
this show.
listening. And then I'd pop in on the
We got
conversation,
Dixie Dave's
and I'd
stomach.
say, "Look, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna be mad what you said," because they'd always get concerned, like they're gonna get kicked off the
Ref
show. I'm
down there
like,
on 1 count. Ref
"Not
says
get
just
kicked
1.
off the show." You know, because they'd start talking
gotta
smack
roll
behind
over.
my back, right?
Hey, you never heard smack
Everybody
talk
looked in
from
to
me
see him when He
though.
was gonna close his fist, but he opened up. Back into the ropes.
No, I remember
should
back
break
then off the
that.
show, you were so
Everything's
into your
clean.
wrestling figures,
Elbow to
collecting
Dixie
those
Dave.
Oh, yeah.
WWF wrestling figures.
Dixie Dave down on the mat. That's a lot of weight on that mat. NWF is bringing in new wrestlers every week, it seems. Back, kick to the back, a kick to the
Sean, what
somebody.
was with you that week? That's the second time I've seen you on camera.
I know, I'm kicking somebody out of the commentating booth. Is what I'm
knee to
doing.
the stomach. Looks like a DDT. Yeah, oh, DDT with a rollover. Could have pinned him, but he didn't. Could be a big
That's Mr.
splash
Macho
here.
that you just wailed off the.
Takes care of the guy in the
Yeah.
I mean,
arm.
this is
Outside
the
ring.
debut of the Mr. Macho and Mr. Destroyer. This is their
And we got
debut
a
here,
3
actually.
count by Dixie Dave.
You won?
You bet. With all that weight behind him, he deserves a victory. Now we got
Who's
people
that coming in?
teaming up, and
That's
Dixie
Dr.
Dave.
Destruction Chad
The
Rancor.
bell's rung.
Okay.
Total chaos.
He was kind of like
As
he
you
was
see,
kind of your
excitement's still
partner in a
rolling.
way.
Kind
So
of.
yeah. What?
I'm trying to remember. Was it him or the other Chad that was our manager at the Anoka Armory?
Yeah, he was. He was in your corner as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So he kind of stuck with Dixie Dave, I guess you could say.
We never
this-
actually had a tag team match, but we stuck together.
This is your daughter,
Kind of
Dave.
took me under his wing.
Whenever I was down on myself, my dad was always happy, and I always said, "You will get that next time." So, yep. So yeah, that was Dave's daughter there commenting. But Dixie Dave on the ballot. So, we'll look at Dave. We will keep moving along here. Now, this next nominee is Furious Fritz. John Fritz, one of our lightweight wrestlers. In fact, one of the first lightweight wrestlers, Dave. Him along with Adam Nash, the Dynamite Dude, were our first two lightweight wrestlers, debuting back in the basement days.
Yeah, I was going to say, Furious Fritz, I wouldn't know much about him.
He's my cousin. He was my younger cousin. The reason he was part of it was because at the time, my mom had just got a divorce, and my uncle got a divorce, and so he was staying with us, and John would come on the weekends to spend time with us, and he wanted nothing more to be a part of the show. So that's kind of how he got in. No favoritism. No favoritism, though, because he's related to Crusher Classen. I mean, I never put him on a pedestal. He did his own thing. He worked his own, for what he had to do in a match. It was all, I didn't play favorites. Let's just say that.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I'd get heat from all the guys, so I just can't do that.
Well, look at how much heat Matt got you just because you guys were good friends.
Well, yeah, that was just when we watched that match last month. That goes to show you what happens when feelings get hurt, right?
Yeah.
At that age, But no, I'm not gonna. John was he was a tough, scrappy little kid, though, as my cousin, and so he could hold his own in the ring for sure. And he was in a lot of intense matches. Let's take a look at Furious Fritz and see. Yeah, now this will be back in the Group W cable days.
Folks, the next TWF match, a lightweight spectacular. Okay, this is going to be Andy the Ripper Youngquist weighing in at 185 pounds versus John Fabulous Fritz.
Fabulous Fritz, Furious Fritz.
At 75 pounds. Okay, got that screwed up. Andy, just like to say, how do you feel about this big weight advantage?
Well, I think he's a pretty good wrestler, and I think I could beat him. He might have a chance of beating me. So that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Andy the Ripper Youngquist.
Start the match.
Andy Youngquist is really good friends with Rob Jacob. They live next door to each other. That's how Andy got on the show. And you see Mike Ackerman and Brian Peterson having a little bump into each other. They didn't like each other, Dave, them two.
Okay, folks, we're back here. This is Ray Johnson here.
Got
a match, Andy the Ripper against John
Furious Fritz.
And the size
commentators Rob Jacob.
Nothing short of enormous. But,
Rob Jacob's
John
in the
Fritz
Hall of
is a
Fame
tough
for
little
announcers. He was the
scrappy
second
wrestler, and I'm
announcer
sure
to
he'll
go
make
in.
good out of it. But I would not be surprised to see Andy the Ripper win. He is yet to win in the TWF, but he has wrestled very little.
Rob Jacob is the next guy who is the voice of the NWF. For 84.
For his,
right. Well, when I did say that about Jason, I did say for our era.
For your era, yep.
Been suspended one show plus fine.
Rob was part of the building years. He really in the development times.
Nice flying drop kick. That John Fritz has it in him. And with a little bit of growing up, he'll be great. But this is a lightweight match here. Andy, excuse me, I've had a cough lately. With a little bit of growing, he'll be one of the premier heavyweight wrestlers in this league. But our lightweight division is getting better all the time, although we've been having problems finding wrestlers too. And 2 count there. Okay, now he's
John was part of the beginning of the lightweights. And John was always on and off. Whenever he was in town, he was on the show when we were taping. Because he lived way up in Becker, so it was hard for him to make it every week.
Now he's got him in a headlock.
In Becker, Minnesota.
Yep.
So.
Where another Hall of Famer currently lives.
Yep.
Obviously
it's like
Stevenson. Situation.
But John. He had a lot of matches with the Super D's. Rough Ryan. John was around through all the way through 85, through the last show we did in the garage.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was kind of, part of that lightweight crowd, in the beginning.
Okay, now he's wrapping his arm on the rope. Andy the Ripper, another one of those wrestlers who plays dirty once in a while within the ranks of Jackknife Jacob.
The commentating's so important. This goes for any wrestling promotion, whether we're kids or adults. Commentators got to put you over, right?
Very good TWF wrestling action.
And that's what these guys are doing. That's why Rob's in the Hall of Fame. That's why Jason, because they would announce and they would put you over, whoever you were. They would sell it, right?
Yep. Whether you're in front of the camera, behind the camera, selling is the number one in wrestling.
Mike Acrian, who introduced the show in place of Rich Taylor, explained
so yeah, 412 films, since the lightweights looked like an amazing division back then. Yeah, they were fun. For us, it was kind of like the midgets in a way. They had a midget type look, but they weren't midgets. And our idea of doing a lightweight division was that these are the future heavyweights on the show.
Yep.
So it's a way to harvest, more seasoned guys. Yep. That was kind of the thinking.
Crusher Classen attacking Brian Peterson over in the corner here. Brian Peterson dressed up rather flashy tonight.
Brian Peterson was the protege of Rob Jacob. Rob really took Brian under his wing when he came on.
Yo.
Brian Peterson, of course, in the Hall of Fame right as we speak. He got both. Oh. So yeah, John. I don't know if John Furious Fritz probably didn't win a whole lot of matches. Some of these guys, like Jamie McParlin, didn't win a lot of matches, right? But doesn't mean they're not Hall of Fame. But I was gonna say, like I said earlier, doesn't mean you're not Hall of Fame material. It just depends what you bring to the table, really, right? How committed how devoted, right? So let's take a look. I know we got a lot to get through, Dave, so we'll just go to the next one. And that is, of course, Invader 2, Chad Randall. Tough customer here, Dave.
One of the few people to ever body slam me.
Yeah, he just as strong as Thandar, I would say. Strength, in measures of strength.
Yep.
Rough, can be rough in the ring as well. But tough customer. He was the best friend of Terry Block, Invader 1, growing up.
And one of the two people that brought me into the company.
Yep. Yeah, because y'all lived in the same neighborhood. Of course, Chad's a... What's that?
The two people that notified me about the NWF was Chad and Terry.
And Chad is a former national tag team champion like yourself.
If I remember correctly, I think he kind of dropped him to myself and Rattlesnake Jake.
Yeah, when Rattlesnake Jake did a headbutt to the knee of Chad Randall, if I remember correctly.
And if I remember correctly, that kind of ended his NWF career. The knee injury was so severe.
Yes and no. He did come back in '87, but it was short-lived. The reality is Chad did have a bad knee. It wasn't from the show. It was from football. And so he just couldn't do the wrestling because the knee was bugging him too much. So, but yeah, let's take a look at him in action. Chad Randall, some highlights. Crusher Classen commentating.
Wait a minute. I think I'm familiar with this match.
He knocked off Dixie Dave's hat.
Kid Kelsey managing.
No, you want
Oh, look at there. We got Dixie Dave in the ring.
Like I said, I thought I was familiar with this.
Invader 2 versus Dixie Dave.
Was this your first match, Dave?
My very first.
This is your very first match. Isn't that interesting? And nobody told you anything. You don't know what's going on. You're just thrown in the ring.
Yep. Thrown in the ring.
Wrestles pigs, chickens, hogs.
Yeah, how dare we do that? How dare we?
He can get his hands on.
Hey, it's what you got to do in the business.
Yeah.
You talk to any promoter.
They just wobbled
Any
on
trainer.
their clothesline.
You heard it from Sergeant Smash.
Actually, it wasn't that bad.
I mean, it looked bad. I mean, it looked like a.
It may look bad, but
Three-man tag team champions.
the worst part of this match was the ending.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Did we see that slam yet? Was that it right there?
Yep.
Oh, I just missed it. I was looking at the comments and I turned away. But that's the slam that Dave talks about where he went right on the small of his back.
What, 2 minutes?
Yeah.
About a minute. More like a minute and a half.
But I got my revenge a few months later.
You know what they say, bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Mike Bauer is paired
Now here's Chad Randall in 1987. A little more This is a little more polished, now. This is rough customer, I'll tell you though. Chad was.
Referee over there, 1. No, he's thrown off again.
Is that Ken doing commentary?
It's Bobby Ferrari. Beautiful Bobby Ferrari, Luscious Larry's manager.
Referee seemingly losing control of this match.
Bob always put us over. I had no problem with Bob. Larry, another story.
Larry, that's somebody I don't think you'll find in our Hall of Fame.
No.
Referee broke that one up nicely.
No.
Oh, there, loosen the ring right up. We're gonna have to get the maintenance.
Well, you see, now we have an actual wrestling ring in these days.
There comes another destructor behind him. They got that manager of theirs roaming around.
And once we got this ring, folks, man, the wrestling really evolved. I'm telling you. As far as professional style wrestling, it is.
Yep.
A little bit of a knee drop there. Couldn't get much on it as he seemingly slipped off the ropes. I don't know who this manager
Chad,
is.
hell of a nice guy. I mean,
oh yeah, super nice. But tough guy, like a legitimately tough guy. Football player, everything.
I'm not gonna lie. I was smartened up a little bit before we came down into the dungeon.
Yeah.
Hell, Jeff. Very competent, ringside competent, big smash there. Oh,
so you can see the stiffness there a little bit, right?
Oh yeah.
Right there. Referee outside the ring. 1, 2, 3. He counted. No. Now he's on. No, he counted him on the ropes. No, we're gonna have to take that back. He counted
That's
him
Rick
on the
Pitts
ropes.
reffing, our famous referee that like to have a little drink or two.
Chad Randall
or 3 or a dozen.
He had the pinfall.
Yeah.
Now he's a house of fire in that ring. He's going to town. He's dumped them both out of the ring. Goodbye to the Destructors. The referee seemingly got.
So Chad Randall, Vader 2. Dave, if I had it my way, I'd vote everybody in.
Yep.
What can you say?
But then it wouldn't be a Hall of Fame.
It wouldn't be a Hall of Fame. Only 4 of these guys can go in out of everybody we've been watching so far. But that's Chad Randall, Invader 2. Just great guy. Great, very mellow, outside the ring. But in the ring, tough customer.
And speaking from experience, some of that stuff between him and I may have looked real stiff. Nope. He's one of them that I never had a problem with working.
Oh, I almost forgot, Dave. I had I was going to do this earlier, but I had music to be playing while we talked about all this. So I'll start it up.
Wow.
Yeah. I was going to play some little background music, right, to go with it. So I should have started that earlier. Sorry, folks. We'll have it for the rest of the show now. All right. And it just gives a little vibe of Hall of Fame, right? All right. So our next person, of course, he's a friend of ours, Dave. We've had him on as a guest. I can't say enough about him, and you can't either. I know you feel the same way as I do.
Yep.
Jamie McParlin. He has to go in as a somebody, so we're going with Ricky Vaughn. That was his last character, but he was Invader 3. He was the Irish Terror. Came in the show in '87 at the very beginning of '87, through the league through '88. He created the CWF, which was an NWF sister league. So pretty that's not a lot of kids could do it, and he actually had the chops to get something up and going and started.
Yep.
And his first wrestler, he was the first wrestler with a valet as well.
Yep.
Go ahead, Dave.
You know, Jamie was one of those. I met him in school. We got talking wrestling, and he had a little setup in his bedroom where him and friends would wrestle around.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I've been there. I know what you're talking about.
The old coiled telephone cords wrapped around the bed to make ropes.
He was all in. He was all in.
Oh yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And some of the guys got annoyed with him a little bit, I suppose, because he was younger and he was so into it that, you know, the older kids maybe got a little pestered with him. But I'm telling you, man, he was that energy that he had. And in the ring, he was a good hand.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get a good idea of the energy that he had. Watch the Brooklyn Park Armory.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will hear and see Jamie at ringside.
Yeah, when he made his self known. That's how he got noticed. Yeah. Caught our eye. Well, let's take a look at Jamie in action.
Okay, up next, the Irish Terror. Certainly a bundle of energy. There he is. But you're teamed up with Dixie Dave against the Destructors.
You got that right. I want these Destructors. I'll team up with Crossen, Invader 1, Dixie Dave, White Ninja, it don't matter. These guys, I'm gonna get them.
Irish Terror's ready, and we'll be back after this.
So here we are up at Full Bard in 1987.
I believe his rookie match.
Yeah, I think the very first. Well, this was the second. What? Not his rookie match, Dave. He second taping. I can tell because the windows are painted.
I don't see Loshi ringside.
Yeah, she was his valet on the first show. Hey, Invader 1, Terry Block, great, another great guy. He's, of course, Invader 1's in the Hall of Fame. And Jamie, tell you something. If you have a match, it's a privilege to be in the ring with somebody like Jamie, just because he knows how to sell naturally. Yeah, I mean, not everybody was a natural, and Jamie was one of them, where he just kind of had the knack. Didn't have to show him a whole lot. What I'm talking about is selling, like taking bumps and that kind of thing.
Picks him up, throws him off the rope, set him up for a close on him. Hammered him to the mat. A knee drop. That could be it right there. Could be lights out for Invader 1. Going for a pin early.
Isn't this music better? I like the music. Guys, let me know what you think of the music. If you want me to keep that or if you want me to get rid of it. It just gives a little background vibe, I would say. I tried to pick something that was kind of like nostalgic, yet, you know, nomination type ceremony kind of thing. You know what I mean? So something just subtle. That's my video production days coming through. I hear Jeff Dinsmore commentating with Bob now.
Background in Taekwondo, karate. I've seen him a few times use it.
Hey, you know, they're putting us over, Dave, as adults. Even. Oh, yeah. They weren't all Larry Rhodey type guys.
Yep.
If you hear the audio getting muted out, is because this was the show where we split from the NCWA, and anytime they mentioned them guys, I had to take it out. So when the audio goes down, I'm taking out the audio because they're talking about the NCWA.
He is a big individual. You're going to really want to watch this guy.
One of these days we can talk about all that, Dave, for the fans that always wonder how that split up happened and how that all went. That's a whole show in itself, right?
Oh yeah.
Of course, you were around for that.
Such as he delivered could be grounds for disqualification. Here's a kick to the stomach. Invader 1 picks him up, takes a look at him, throws him into the ropes. He's coming out with
you know, if not for the NCWA and Larry, the NWF may have gone for years more.
Oh, who knows? At the same time, though, they gave us a location. It was a marriage that needed to last but couldn't. Right, Dave?
Yep.
I mean, we needed them, they needed us, but it was.
We had the ring for them to compete.
And the
They
TV
had the
show.
location for us to compete.
We also had the television show, which they didn't know how to do it. So we had that, and we had the ring, and they had a location and another element to the show that was adults.
Oh, I know. The Irish Terror is really different. The first time I saw him,
You
he
know,
was
it could have been spectacular, but unfortunately,
he is just
the ego of Luscious Larry took over the whole thing.
Well, as you know, if he continues to do those tactics, that could be grounds for disqualification right there. Constantly not pinning the big clothesline dump.
Great hand in the ring, though. Both these guys, but, you know, we're talking about Jamie here, Ricky Vaughn. Just a good hand.
Look, he's going up.
And I tell you something, guys, behind the scenes, Jamie was so, just like you and I, Dave, he was all in. 110%.
But he missed that one as the Invader rolled out just in time.
And I know Jamie thinks he wasn't, but he was damn good in that ring.
Can he get him over? No. Irish Terror fighting back. See, now he tries to get him with a suplex. They're both struggling. Nobody can get the other one. Some extra look up! Boom! Kabang! Right into the man.
As good as this match is, from what Jamie said, they did not have personal chemistry with each other.
No, they just knew. They each knew how to work.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. Not everybody was good at it. There were kids were at different levels with that. But you know, I'll call it out when I see it. But like I said, I'm also going to call out how devoted somebody was behind the scenes, no matter how good they were in the ring.
Exactly.
Pinfall for the Invader 1. Irish Terror seemingly made a big mistake in that match as he had his man put away twice and pulled him up. And there's your winner, Invader 1.
Jamie's selling it the whole way.
You made a big mistake in that ring by not pinning your man when you had the chance.
Well, Invader 1, he's one of the greatest wrestlers, and I got to respect him. I just wasn't on tonight, and I'm going to try better next time. That's all I can say.
Well, some kind words for a man who seemingly doesn't be so kind to his opponents in that ring right there, as Invader 1 was the winner of that match.
So Jamie McParlin, a.k.a. Ricky Vaughn, Irish Terror as he was in those days. What's that?
A fun guy to be around.
Oh, yeah. And when we did you know, somebody mentioned, I think I got it in comments here, 412 Film says, never knew there was a sister league. Yeah, Jamie started when Larry and Steve was a part of it, but when Larry, you know, when they took the ring and everything and the March Armory card, and we got the ring back, but we were in no position to really do any shows for a while. Jamie wanted to keep going. So I encouraged Jamie to start up a league, but I didn't want to be involved with it. I wanted him to have ownership with it. So I let him develop it, and he did 1 or 2 shows, and he had Terry Kosnapple was his champion. And so on Superstar Spectacular 87, that first match is one of his matches. The CWF match from his league was part of that show. Yeah, it was the opening match. It was a great match too, by the way. And you know, that's kind of how that sister league came about. But speaking of Terry Kosnapple, he's next, Dave. And one of these days we got to get Terry on the show. But
hey, we've been trying. We've been trying.
We've been trying. I don't want to pester the guys, you know, but they know I want them on, so hopefully they'll come on eventually. But Terry Kosnapple, Invader 4, heavily influenced by Terry Block. They were friends. That's why he's one of the Invaders. 1986, 1987. He also wrestled in the mask as Terry, as part of Block and Terry, which is Terry Block and Terry Kosnapple. He's the former CWF champion, like we talked about, from Jamie's league to CWF. And let me tell you something. Great guy here. Very good in the ring. I actually spent a lot of time training Terry in all places in a field by the apartments he lived in a little courtyard. because we had nowhere to put the ring. We had nowhere to set the ring up at the time, and so I had to get him ready for the October card. So that's where he made his debut, was on the October Armory card, and so we had to train on the grass, and it was not easy. But as kids, you're resilient. And
Wasn't
you
that
talk
the same day afterwards? We went in and we're looking for that record for you.
Oh, it was definitely one of those days that I was over there, because I remember I kept coming over. I had to take the bus to get over there at Coon Rapids. I was in Anoka, and and I spent many nights over there with Terry. It was in the fall. It was great weather to be outside doing wrestling because it was nice, cool weather. But
back when we were kids, any time was a good time to be outside.
Well, I mean, in the middle of summer and 100 degrees, I wouldn't want to be. It wouldn't have been the most pleasant experience to have to be training, but
right.
But yeah, let's take a look at Terry in the ring. Invader 4. Here's that match I was talking about, the opening match in our Superstar Spectacular 87 from the Anoka Armory. And what we have here, we have Terry Kosnop. He's going against Joe Hoffman, who is the younger brother of John Hoffman of the Destructors.
Picks him up by the hair, blatantly illegal.
And he's Joe Hoffman is the Disco Kid, I think, or the Disco Joe.
I don't know, Ken Boyer.
But he was a fill-in because the person Terry was supposed to go against wasn't going to be able to do it, and we had to, like a week or two before the match, we had to substitute this. I wish I could remember who he was supposed to go against, but it wasn't. This match was like a last minute, like a last week change. So these two, you keep this in mind, these two had no time whatsoever to work with each other. None. It's the first time they're wrestling each other is this match.
Get him out of there, ref.
Oh, he's got a 10 count, right? Can he get back in the ring?
So, Jamie talked about, your 12-year-old improvising with another 12-year-old, right? Improving.
Yeah.
Well, here you are in the front of the Anoka Armory, in front of paid spectators, and you have to do a match, and you've never even worked in the ring with each other. Now, John gave Joe plenty of training at home. John, his older brother. So, and I had, of course, worked with Terry. And so then we put them together, and they have this awesome match. I mean, it was just a great opener for the show.
Ooh, a blow to the midsection.
He telegraphed that move there. You can see that one coming a mile away and caught a big fist right in the guts. Oh, nice suplex. That'll rattle your cage.
You see these matches from '87, and they're definitely more, more high impact moves, right? Suplexes, body slams.
Yep.
Chasing someone around up there. He's got a chair. Action in the ring, out of the ring. Hey, look out.
Now they're coming back with a chair, as you can see. Chasing the mystery man.
We had a lot of empty chairs. This event wasn't as bad as the July card, but we had a lot of... This is the night we went up against the NWA. First time in town.
Well, that's how you get those
Crockett Promotions. We didn't know it.
Yep.
So they're at the Met Center, and we're doing our show same night. And we had no idea.
This show.
I think that's in California somewhere.
Yeah, that was not good timing. I didn't...
Give me a break.
I might have been smart with a lot of things, but I wasn't smart with scheduling that one.
He's going for the suplex. Over he goes. Hey,
not smart to go up against somebody who's got national television.
No. Although we did advertise on their program, for this event, I put paid commercials on not only Championship Wrestling with Crockett, I did it with McMahon on Primetime Wrestling, and I did it with AWA ESPN Wrestling. We put local commercials on their shows in the through the cable company in our area. We paid inserts specifically on their shows. That's the way to do it, Dave. Just think of if I was like the AWA, that's what I would be doing to the to the other programs, right? Locally.
Yep.
It cost us like $500 to do that, but it was worth it. I thought. Got the word out.
Invader clobbed him with 4 straight rights.
This is our last Anoka Armory event, folks. This was
over there like a little twig.
It would be another 20 years until wrestling returned
Now
there.
off the ropes. The clothesline.
Oh, big clothesline.
And I don't think anybody's ever done what we did.
No, when the other organization came into the Anoka Armory, their crowd was less than what you see here.
Vader 4 and the Disco
I mean, it
Kid
was just
with
more.
the
I
CWF
think the '80s was more
belt on the
popular for
line.
wrestling, personally.
Exactly.
You know, back then,
There's that skull cracker.
compared to 20 years
He wasn't
later.
winning bells before he is now.
Oh, I mean, you look at the
How
Nielsen
much more
numbers.
each man can take.
Yeah.
I mean, back when we were kids watching wrestling, there were millions of people a week watching wrestling.
He didn't even touch him, and he went down like
We had a question here from 412 Films. He says, "Have you ever heard of the CAC?"
Takes 3 to pin.
Is he referring to the Cauliflower Alley Club?
Takes charge. Hey, a headbutt.
That's what I'm wondering. I'm not
He's
sure.
talking about that. Yeah, we've heard of it.
Off the ropes. Look out. There's that clothesline for you. That's the way it's done.
I'd have to see if you can confirm that or not. But yeah, that's the only thing I know of CAC would be the Cauliflower Alley Club. I've never been to it.
Neither have I.
It is very neat to see, though. I mean, all the nostalgia there. I would like to go to one.
With a turnbuckle. And he squashes him like a bug. Big leg drop.
But yeah, you know, they're again, they're not exactly polished all the time, and sometimes the moves aren't as crisp. But you know what? We got two 12-year-olds in the we got two 12-year-olds in the ring. Gotta give us a little break, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like that's what I think he's referring to, because he says he's been to it all the time in Vegas. So yeah. Now that I'm closer to Vegas, I would like to go to one. I'm not too far from Vegas now. I'm in Salt Lake City.
This match has gone on now for nearly 10 minutes.
Even though we were told it's not the same as it used to be.
More blows to the head, more blows.
You know, these suplexes look dangerous the way he's doing them. Like he could catch his neck, but you know, you see that now with 2020 vision. But
taking a look at the mystery kid talking with his wrestler.
I can't stand this mystery man. I never could like this guy. He should be barred from the NWF. No, Bulldog. And I think he is out cold. Let's see if he can get out of it.
He's out.
You know, that's one move I miss in the wrestling nowadays.
You don't see it anymore?
Not really. I don't remember the last time I've seen somebody do a bulldog in wrestling.
Well, what about a clothesline? Do they still do clotheslines?
They're not soft like all the
oh yeah.
Not soft
So
at
that
all.
clotheslines?
Neither is his ring. Got 3/4 inch plywood, a little bit of fiberglass padding underneath. It's not much better than a concrete sidewalk.
Back in my wrestling days, I had my head bashing a turnbuckle a million
So
times.
412 Films has a lifetime membership of the CAC. That's pretty impressive. So yeah. Like I said, I think well, I'm a fan of old school, so I always think that kind of stuff.
They've got their strength back. More blows.
This match is getting close to the end here.
Yeah.
Good night. That's it.
Disco Joe Hoffman selling it off as the younger brother of John Hoffman. And Terry Kosnapple gets the win. CWF champion. Great guy. Real good hand in the ring, too.
Oh yeah.
He's one of our nominees. Jabe, we're getting down to the end here. We got, looks like 1, 2, 3. We got 3 guys left for this show that we're going to introduce to you. And then, of course, next week we'll do the remaining 11 nominees for the singles category. Yep. So next on the list, and this is kind of a shocker, actually, that people will see this and, you know, realize that he's not in the Hall of Fame, but Jackknife Jacob. Now, Rob Jacob is in the Hall of Fame as the announcer, Ray Johnson, our announcer, because Rob played 2 roles. He was Jackknife Jacob, and he was Ray Johnson, the original Ray Johnson, the ring announcer and commentator. Well, Rob was nominated in and voted in for the announcing side of things, but as a wrestler, he's not in, and he's one of the kind of like the founding members of the league. He was on from the very beginning. Now, his Jackknife Jacob character didn't start out till show 7, but he was involved in the league from the beginning as an announcer. 1984 to 85, former world champion and a former world tag team champion. Jackknife Jacob. He was tag team champions with Merciless Mike Ackerman. So let's take a look at Rob, aka Jackknife Jacob.
All right, we're ready to start off with blow to blow
Rich
action.
Taylor
We've got the
announcing.
studios now for commentary.
Always professional with a capital P, Rich. Look at how he's dressed. He was a great, big guy, but compared to the rest of us. But he was always dressed to the T's. So Rob Jacob is the one on the left, Jackknife Jacob, and he's going against Merciless Mike Ackerman here on the right. And that's Brian Peterson in Rob Jacob's corner, managing. Brian Peterson.
Okay, we're underway in this match.
And Rich Taylor's commentating.
I got a question for you.
Jackknife Jacob moving out on top.
Which ring was worse?
Over the top chokehold on Merciless.
The dungeon or the ring that they're wrestling in right now?
Jugular.
Technically speaking, this ring was worse because there was no padding at all. It's just plywood.
And there you see it.
Right?
Semi-atomic drop.
The dungeon had wrestling mat pads. Now, that being said, what ring hurt more? The dungeon. Why? Because we were doing high impact moves in Fred Moore. The wrestling was evolved to suplexes and body slams and going off the top rope and all that stuff. That wasn't happening in these days.
Yeah.
So that's a two-edged sword. Cuts both ways, I guess. Yeah, that ring was harder. We weren't going off the top rope. We weren't doing suplexes and stuff like that. I mean,
and there's a clothesline.
It wasn't high impact yet.
Crossen, ladies and gentlemen, by Merciless Mike
That
Ackerman.
makes sense.
And now, tried to set up for the skull cracker, but Jackknife saw it, blocked it.
You always ask me that though, Dave. What's worse? What's the worst? You even actually, like when we talk about Eddie Sharkey's ring, which was the ring from hell, at George's and Fridley, you're like, is that harder?
Yep.
Is that harder than the Fred Moore?
This time it connects. And Merciless Mike down in the cabinets in a bad way.
It was Eddie's ring was hard. The spring, it had a spring, but we always said it was seized. Doesn't work. Never worked.
Jackknife truly a showman. Truly a showman. But sometimes it gets in his way, that and his cockiness.
The character Jackknife Jacob was great. I can say that. He was the heel of '84. He was the one that you loved to hate.
No, he's not. As you see there,
kind of a Bobby Heenan style to his way he was.
Hit him a couple times, Merciless. There you go. There you go.
But yet in his own way, right? He was a good talker. He did an interview and stuff. He was a really good talker.
And there you see the fabulous one, Peterson in the corner.
There's Brian Peterson, who always had the gift of gab.
All I know is he looks like a clown in that outfit.
So he just can't keep his mouth quiet. He's talking away.
That's his prerogative. That's fine with me, just as long as he doesn't step in my business.
I'll tell you something. Brian got under everybody's skin.
Face full of knuckles.
For real.
As he did tonight. Didn't mean to do that, folks. Sorry, that is not my job. But when wrestlers start attacking me, hey, you just gotta kind of stick up for yourself. And
we tapped each other at the chair. We didn't hit it hard,
there's
though.
no love lost between me and Jackknife. Now Merciless Mike.
We loved using the chairs, though, because why? Because that's what you seen in the AWA at the time. They'd always get the folding chair out at the ring, at ringside, right?
Down on the mat.
Exactly.
It was part of the show, so that's why we wanted to do it too.
Like he's moving. There's a kick out there by Jackknife with an attempted pin by Merciless Mike Ackerman.
Rich Taylor's another announcer that's on the ballot for announcers that's commentating here.
And a kick out by Jackknife Jacob.
Well, we'll talk about them guys when we do our announcing guys in that couple weeks from now. But great guy, though. Everybody liked Rich Taylor outside the ring. Like all the other kids.
Bolo punch.
He was older than us. He was like 2 years older than me at the time. He was in like the 11th grade where I was in 9th at the time. But he was big. He was so tall. Like Rich Taylor, you know, our announcer is really big. Usually you want the announcer to be smaller than the guys to make the guys look bigger, right? That's why Mean Gene was so good for that. It was the opposite with Rich Taylor. You know, Rob was, he was very creative behind the scenes. He was, you know, me, him, and Mike were kind of running things in these days. But Rob and I, we clashed quite a bit off the camera, just in direction and ideas and everything.
Drop kicks by Merciless Mike, but
It didn't mean that neither one of us was right or wrong. It's just we clashed. It's just part of the way it was.
Mike,
exactly.
Oh, but he's knocked down again by the swinging legs.
There's no right or wrong. Just sometimes that's stuff. You have personalities like that. That's how it is.
Snake, you never know where those legs are going to come from.
But I'll tell you, we were fortunate to have Rob part of the show. I mean, his contributions, his character, and everything. It made the league back in these days. You know, the rivalry between these two, for example, they had a really good rivalry going.
Count 3, and Jackknife Jacob is your winner. Let's go to the ring for more All-Star action.
I always said I've already proved to myself and the world that I am the champ. Remember that after me.
Mike didn't want to let it end.
Jackknife, I get you to come back up in the ring for a minute.
Oh, you slipped on the ropes there.
You better not ever trip.
Hey, that even happens sometimes in the big leagues.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen you come out with any more fervor and more hatred and move faster against an opponent than you did tonight. You looked mighty impressive, Jackknife. Why is that?
Well, thank you for once.
As you know, he is the other part of the fabulous one.
Yeah. But I'd just like to point out, he's the one that used the chair, not me this time.
If I may say so, I find it hard to believe myself, but perfectly clean match by Jackknife Jacob. I must congratulate you. Good job.
Yeah, a rarity there that Rich Taylor's congratulating Jackknife Jacob. Usually he was always on his case. That's the thing with Rich Taylor, though. Just a little side note. His commentating and announcing, he would tell it like it is. He called me out one time, even. So Rich played no favorites. Yeah. So let's go to our next. We're getting down here to the remaining two, it looks like, for this week. So the next one up, one of my favorites, Madman Nash. You don't know this one, Dave. He was before your time. Derek Nash, 1984 to 1985. He's the older brother of the Dynamite dude, Adam Nash. He's a former World Tag Team Champion. Derek was a great character. Funny. I mean, if you ever had that kid that could make you laugh, or the one that's always telling jokes and everybody's laughing, that was Derek.
Oh, okay.
He was the center of the good time. Ribber, telling jokes, whatever you want to say, and a heck of a good talker on the mic. He had the gift of gab. So let's take a look at Derek in action.
Okay, I'm gonna wrestle him, and I'm gonna win. Hold on! This brings up new opportunities. Me and Roberts are the new champions. I have seniority over the belts. I get them. No way. I had him introduce them. You just took a place of my other partner because he couldn't wrestle anymore with injuries. Get out of here, Nash.
A little bit of heat there. Legitimately.
There's a big controversy now off to the side of this. Out of the ring. Ouch. Come on, you got get out of the ring.
Get you. I was getting out of the ring.
Oh, well, anyways, if he's not gonna...
You lost the title, buddy boy.
Such a good talker he was.
Ref's trying to get order here. As you know, Madman Nash has switched to the bad side for no reason. He seems to be awfully wimpy.
The parachute pants were so popular in those days.
Let's have a few words from.
I don't think they're around anymore, are they, Dave?
I don't care.
I don't think so.
The Nash, I was planning to get rid of the belt because I know for a fact I'm going to kill Ace today in my match.
So see, Mike was just saying he doesn't care that Derek left him because Mike was convinced he was going to win the world title from Ace.
Okay.
That didn't happen.
Madman is.
You know, shoot title matches in those days, and Mike just thought he could win, and he didn't, and Mike was so furious when he did not win that match. He was livid.
I don't care if this guy's new or old, he's gonna win.
But yeah, Derek Nash, I mean, he kind of reminds me, he always reminded me of kind of the way he looked and everything, and the hairdo of Harley Race. You know, he had that Harley Race look.
Peterson side.
I don't think Derek was a tough guy like Harley Race. Like Harley Race was one tough customer. Derek wasn't. Derek did have a mean bone. He had a funny bone. If anything, just had the look though of him.
You don't even want to be your own side there. Let's switch to somebody else.
His younger brother, Adam, the Dynamite Dude, was much more athletic than Derek.
That's right. He's just big flat mouth. Hey, I got beat you any day. I just, You see that Derek, a little, what'd you call it, pipsqueak. Man, that's what he is, mad in the brain.
Adam's talking about his older brother.
I don't know what he's doing. When he tries, he doesn't know when he's trying to eat his dinner, he takes his spoon, use a fork and
Looks like Derek's going against Brian Balaban. This was Brian Balaban's actual debut here. Brian started out as a wrestler, but then he quickly just became an announcer.
Oh, okay.
But he started out as Bad Street Balaban. He was a wrestler. Only lasted for a few shows though.
Anyway, back to the ring here and some action.
Yeah, he was so good at commentating, and he enjoyed it more, and so he kind of went into that role. You know, Brian did.
Few forearms to the back.
Brian Balaban, if I don't know for sure, but I want to say he became a police officer.
Man comes back.
I think.
Oh, and he grabs onto the leg. Yes. What's he gonna do?
If I remember right. I remember he got a hold of me back when we did the documentary.
He's holding him down. He breaks free.
I think that's what he said he was up to.
Breaks free once again. Then my dude up on the ring, as well as Crusher Crossen, trying to get a piece of him.
That's Adam. Dynamite Dude interfering.
It's Babylon submit.
Man, what are you doing wrestling some little guy right there? Your match is with me. You have to take on little guys all the time?
A little interference there with Crusher Crossen.
Crusher seems to be very furious with it. And that's the end of the match. Ref didn't see on the ropes. Victor goes to Madman Nash.
Yeah, these little skirmishes that always seem to happen after matches in Group W Cable.
Well, get back out and don't left. Winner! I have to introduce him. Your winner, Madman Nash.
Madman Nash. Always one of my favorites. He was a funny guy, I'll tell you.
Yep.
Behind the scenes. Luis Calogero says, "Who built that ring? That ring that we just seen there, that wasn't even a ring. It was a stage in Group W Cable, and we attached 4 posts and ropes around it and made it look like a ring. So it resembled a ring, but it was more of a rectangle, and it was already there, and we just converted it to make it into a ring every time we went in there to tape. Those are the early days of the show." And then King Coop following up to that question, what was it like working in that ring? It was hell, because you couldn't really climb on the ropes because they were on bungee cords, so we couldn't go really off the ropes. You couldn't hit the ropes really because you'd go way into them too much. The only thing that ring served is it looked like a wrestling ring. Kind of. Right?
Yep.
And getting kicked out of Group W cable like we did was the best thing that happened to the show. Because what it allowed us to do was go into my garage and make a more functional ring where we could hit the ropes and go off the top rope and stuff. And we had complete control.
And that eventually led to us getting the ring.
And eventually led to us getting into Fred Moore and then getting an actual wrestling ring. Yeah, so everything evolved, right? So now we're coming up to our final nominee for the first 11 guys that are going to be on this ballot. Or the first 22, but this is the first 11 on this show. And this is another one that kind of surprises me, Dave. Merciless Mike Ackerman, not in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one of the founding members of the show, 1984 to 1985, former world champion, former world tag team champion. You know, Mike had he didn't have a flashy character. So I think that's part of why he's kind of been overlooked by all the fans. And he was part of the earlier stuff and doesn't get that limelight highlight of it being in an actual wrestling ring like the rest of us, you know? So, great guy. One of my right hand, you know, in the beginning it was me, him, and Rob, and me and Mike really running the show. And Mike was just a great co-producer for me to be working with on the show. When Charlie moved away, he was the guy that stepped in to help me with the league at Charlie's request. So it's a pretty good thing. We'll take a look at Mike in action here.
We got one fall, 20-minute time limit. Let's take it down to ringside. Peterson, nobody's got a bigger mouth than you.
Yeah, you. Let's see how big you are.
Oh yeah, everybody gets on Peterson's case. What can you say? So yeah, this Group W cable ring again. Mike was I don't know, his style of wrestling was very I mean he was you know, very stocky kid. So he could handle his own with anybody though in those days. His older brother Mark Ackerman was part of the show in the very beginning, and then Mike was the younger brother. But it was Mike who wanted Mark off the show in the early days because Mark wasn't working out, and Mike just had to have him. He asked me. I remember Mike asked me, "Is it all right if we get rid of my brother?" He just didn't want him on. He knew it wasn't working. And that, of course, is the Russian Destruction. That is actually Ace Andrew Carlson in his very first show as a Russian.
But he'll be coming back shortly in the match.
And of course, he dropped that gimmick and become Ace
Mike Ackerman is very well in control of the match. This Russian Destruction,
after this
I'm sure
show.
Brian Peterson's going to teach him a lot of moves, a lot of wrestling tactics.
But yeah, this is Andrew's debut. There's myself.
Category, but it appears to me that the Russian Destruction, Merciless Mike is taking control of the match. What's this? Oh, yeah, pile driver. This is going to be not quite. We didn't have not quite. He might have skinned his head on the ring there, but anyways, looks pretty good. I've just been
Andrew,
Rich Taylor,
you know, first show.
friendly neighborhood
So the
announcers
wrestling, you know,
entering the
probably
studio.
is not quite as
Get some things straight with Peterson.
as polished as it could be with Andrew. Andrew became such a competitor though, because Andrew was involved in all those shoot title matches when he was champion.
Yeah.
Had to survive. Had to survive the time limit in a lot of cases because he knew he was outmatched. Of course, guys, when I'm talking about shoot title matches, that means they weren't predetermined. You weren't in there to hurt each other, but you were in there to win. Comment from King Coop, and yeah, it was basically served as athletics, basically. That way you have the look of a ring, but not the feel of it. Yeah, it was all presentation in the, because we went through so many shows with just the stage and no ropes, and it's like I want it to look like a ring. So this was a huge thing at the time, because now it had to resemble the ring, but it wasn't a functioning ring by any means.
A shoulder
Exactly.
smash there by the Russian Destruction on Merciless Mike. 2 minutes remaining in this match.
The one benefit to being in the Group W studio like we are right now is we have the multiple cameras, we got better equipment to work with, a full array of lighting above us.
Peterson claiming innocency. Matt, Kid USA, Kelsey with me at ringside right now.
You know, I got a match with Peterson later. Peterson's gonna pay for all he's done. For interfering where his nose don't belong.
Another comment here from
Why doesn't he get it through his
King Coop.
skull?
All of you knew how to work around it, which was cool. You do what you can to make things work. Yeah, when we work, you kind of work with the hand you're showing, right? Like when you're playing cards, you have to deal with the hand that's drawn to you, and that's really the case, you know, in these days. Everybody likes to comment on those half shirts we used to wear back then. It was a style, guys. Let's see. Also, those multiple cameras when y'all were in the studio made it look like studio wrestling, like the NWA was doing at the time. Yeah, and AWA as well, and Memphis. Yeah, so it's you know, that's a good point that he makes.
We'll be back right after this interview.
And that's kind of how it was back then. So we're just doing the same thing. It wasn't arena matches right away. So Merciless Mike Ackerman on the bell. So that's the first 11 wrestlers, Dave. What did you guys think of the first 11? I mean, that's the first 11. Dave's in there, of course. I don't know. It's nice to get a little close-up look at each person, don't you think, Dave?
Exactly, it was. Got me to get to know some of the older guys, and
yeah. So, like I said, next week we're going to be, in fact, just so everybody knows, we're not going to be every other week for January. We will be back next week, January 11th. Same time, and we're going to be going over the remaining 11 wrestlers. So that's who we're going to introduce next week. And then after that, the next show, we're going to do all our tag teams. There's like 12 or 13 tag teams on the list. And then our final show of January, we're going to go over the managers and announcers. It's about four to six managers and 4 to 6 announcers. And only one of them, only one tag team, only one manager, only one announcer will be voted in by you, the fans.
Our fans.
So, like I said, we got all those giveaways. Somebody's going to get the NWF World title. Somebody's going to get the national title. There'll be lots of fun things to get just for voting. At least you'll have a chance, I should say. You'll have a chance to get some cool stuff. And, yeah. So, let's see here. I don't know if I want to make sure if there's any questions or comments, let us know. Otherwise, we've been going, how long have we been on, Dave? About
an hour and 43 minutes.
Hour and 43 minutes. So, I suppose we can wrap it up. If anybody has any questions or comments, though, you can let us know. Otherwise, we're probably going to call her for this night, huh?
Yeah, it sounds like a game plan to me.
So, yeah,
for work in the morning and.
Yeah. But yeah, so remember, folks, and also for all of those, we get hundreds upon hundreds watch our shows and replay. Make sure that you watch the next 4 shows, because you're going to get a good idea who's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And the way the voting, King Coop's asking a question. How do you vote? So we'll announce that when we get closer. Voting isn't going to start till March, because that's our official anniversary of 40 years. But it'll be through our website, and we'll give you the link. And you'll be able to go right to the website, and you vote right there. And and then that way I think we're gonna you'll have the opportunity to put your email address in when you vote, and that's how you'll be notified if you end up winning any of the giveaways that we're gonna do, which we'll randomize, live on the show. So there'll be a brand new NWF Rewind T-shirt we're gonna give away, newer design, and lots of fun things down the pipe for that. So it'll be fun. Looking forward to it. So 40 years, Dave. 40 years ago, the NWF was formed, and we made some pretty remarkable accomplishments in the 4 years that the league existed.
Exactly. It'll never be duplicated.
At least not the way we did it.
Exactly.
Like I've said this before, you see kids in professional wrestling nowadays, and it's usually the owner's son or the promoter's son, and he's got him polished because he trained him with a guided hand, so it looks like he's really polished. But show me some kids that are doing it all on their own.
And that's what we did.
Yeah, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm just saying it's different. It's different when you're the promoter's kid versus actually forming this thing and making it work for several years. So, not to toot our own horn, but as you like to say, Dave, toot. Nah, but yeah, I think it's. I don't think it'll happen again. Not like we did.
Nope.
So
if there's no more questions, we're gonna call it a week.
Yep, we're going to call it, and we will see you guys next week.
Next week, same time, same area.
So we will see you next week, folks.